How's it going, everybody? Jerome here, back bringing you guys another video in regards to how possible is it for Persona 5 to appear on the Nintendo Switch. Now, many of you guys have heard, more or less, that there are rumors going around of Persona 5 being on the Switch, and today we're not talking about any spin-offs, we're actually talking about the game itself. On the last video I made regarding what P5R may be, I discussed this topic, but it wasn't in a brief manner. I kind of went fairly detailed into it, but I decided to make another video in regards to that same exact topic, but a little bit more in-depth on, again, how possible is it for Persona 5 to be on the Switch. Now, first thing is first, I am not against the idea of P5 being on the Switch. I think that would be a pretty damn awesome ordeal, even though I'm not a huge fan of Persona 5 itself. But I can definitely say it would probably make a lot of money if it came to the Switch. People have basically found how good the Switch is, and people would love to play Persona 5 on the go. Hell, people would love to listen to just the soundtrack underneath the mask and fall asleep on a plane, on a train, wherever. If P5 was on the Switch, I think that would be pretty damn cool. But as I said in my other video, I dug through history and realized that there wasn't really any mainline Persona games on any other console other than PlayStation. PlayStation housed P1, P2, P3, P4, and then of course, P5. And as for Nintendo, they pretty much house the mainline SMT game, except for 3, which I will talk about later. Nintendo housed SMT 1, 2, Strange Journey, SMT 4, and then 5. Nocturne is a special case in this scenario because it is the only mainline SMT game that was ever released on a PlayStation console. Now, that was in an age where the PlayStation was big. Atlus figured, you know what, let's just probably bring SMT here and see if it will gain a new traction, because in terms of mainline SMT games, Nocturne was like the very first one to be released here into the West. Sadly, it didn't do that great, and it didn't get as much feedback as Persona 3 and especially Persona 4 did. But was that the reason why a lot of other SMT games weren't on the console? No, because a lot of spin-off games were on the console. The biggest one obviously being Persona. If you guys haven't noticed, Persona is a child of the SMT name. We have Rada Kuzunoa, which is Devil Summoners, and then we have the Digital Devil Saga series. And of course, there were obviously SMT spin-offs on the Nintendo products. For example, Devil Survivors, and of course, Soul Hackers. As you can see, the SMT family hasn't really been on one single console. It has spread out. And all that bears that one question now. How possible is it for a mainline Persona game to be on the Nintendo Switch? And with what I said before, yes, I thought it was fairly impossible. There's actually no way that would happen. But I remembered recently that Atlus did a fan survey. I think it was only in Japan, I believe. And this was in 2017, so basically 2 years ago. And believe it or not, there were questions following if we as consumers overall would like it if they did a P2 Innocent Sin / Eternal Punishment remake or remaster, if they would buy a Persona 3 HD console, and same thing goes if they would buy for a Persona 1 HD version of the game. So yeah, that seems okay, like, yeah, that seems pretty crazy on why that would even be on a fan survey, and it was by Atlus themselves. That section of the survey actually asked us what else would we like to see the Persona name on, from, believe it or not, board games to an online game like SMT Online, if you guys don't know about that. And then, for some reason, a shooting game was an option. It was weird, and yes, before you guys even question it, this was a legit fan survey that Atlus usually does yearly. Yeah, it's pretty intense that they even went so far to wanting Persona in a shooting game. We clearly wanted an Evoker versus airsoft guns. That's clearly what we want. Makoto Yuki versus Joker. That is what we clearly want. there was also the option of Persona 5 with added scenarios and new elements. Now, when I read that, at that time, I was like, weird? Like, new elements? Like Persona 4 Golden status? But then, time passed after that, obviously, and I realized that, yeah, Persona 5 actually had a lot of things cut out of its life in development. And there are two major things, for me personally, that comes to my mind first. The first one being Yusuke. What's wrong with Yusuke? Nothing. Perfect boy, right? Apparently, he was supposed to be a romantic option. Believe it or not. Nani? And then the second one, which is the one I'm still upset about, is Hifumi. You know, the girl that plays Shogi? I believe she was the star social link. If you guys don't know, she was actually supposed to be a phantom thief. She has official designs, and I will post them up right here. And you can tell that her mask was kind of like Phantom of the Opera. How do I say it? Phantom of the Opera. I can't remember the word, but it resembles that. She was supposed to be like a short swordsman, and yeah, Hifumi was supposed to be a phantom thief. Now, with the whole added scenarios and new elements, will they be willing to make Hifumi a phantom thief within the new version of Persona 5? Sadly, I don't think so. As much as I personally want it, and a lot of other people want it, I think they'll just keep those away, sadly, and when it comes with new scenarios, I think it's just going to be like new events, like how Persona 4 Golden, you had that snow trip, and you even had Marie, or Mary, as people like to call her, as the added social link, and that even played a big role throughout the story. Yeah, dude, I don't think they're going to ever put Hifumi onto the Phantom Thieves. Why did they take her out? Because they felt that her story, over like her situation, was a little bit too similar to Yusuke's and Makoto's. So sadly, yeah, she got cut out of the team, which hurts my heart because when I was speaking to her for the very first time in my playthrough, she felt different, if that makes any sense. And believe it or not, this was a survey before I believe P3D was even like officially revealed. So they even asked like a Persona 3 dancing game would be fairly interesting. Yeah, this whole situation was really, really unique. But why am I bringing all this up? Because when you chose those options, there were other options, like answers basically, on what we as consumers would like to see those games on. Like again, P2 remakes for both games, P1 and 3, and even the dancing game. Like what would we like to see it on? And here are some of the answers. There were, I want to play it on the PS4, the Nintendo Switch, the Vita, rest in peace, a smartphone, which I will talk later, and then there was the other option, literally like other, like I don't want none of these, I want it on another console, and there was even a choice of I don't want this, and I'm not interested, so I won't buy this. Believe it or not, yes, that was a choice. So the Switch was a viable option for this survey, and this survey took place back in 2017. So now with all that information out of the way, the question remains: how possible is it for Persona 5 to actually be on the Nintendo Switch? And now, changing from what I said on my other previous Persona 5 video, it does have a chance. Like, I am still iffy about it. I'm not gonna be holding that flag and charging forward saying, it's possible, it's happening! Because if I go up to that mountaintop, I'm just gonna crumble in despair if it just doesn't happen. I think it's definitely possible. Hell, even the Nintendo Switch has proven to be a working console that could manage games. If you guys don't even remember, Persona 5 was even released on the PlayStation 3. Now, if I'm gonna be honest to myself, like how I am usually, if P5 was released on the Switch with one of those domain names, which is, I believe it's gonna be M, then it would just be a huge accomplishment because the child is finally going to where the parents started off, which was Nintendo. And if they have the audacity to ask us if we would like to see Persona 2 remakes, Persona 3 HD console remake to a Persona 1 remake, and each question held the possibility of it being on the Switch, That's a huge accomplishment, and that means the SMT family would finally be one after all these years. And then that would also lead to another question. When's my Shin Megami Tensei fighting game? I want Rado Kuzunoa versus Joker. I want Demifiend and Aleph to fight against one another. And I want Maya to fight against the P3 female protagonist. That would be amazing, but now we're just talking about wishful thinking. Now again, how possible is it for Persona 5 to be on the Switch? For me personally, it's definitely possible, but time will tell, wouldn't it? Anyways, tell me what you guys think down below. I'm gonna be fairly interested in what you guys think of this predicament overall, and I'll be back with more Persona 5 information regarding anything, because I'm finally back on my YouTube game. Anyways, my name is Jerome, and I will see you guys within the next video.